for viewers at home, can you believe that Thomas and I hold our breath for this entire podcast?
What's that episode of Friends where they're like, Joey's held his breath for like 4 minutes, and then Rachel comes up and pinches his nose. He's like, "You trying to kill me?" That's classic. Anybody who doesn't think Friends is funny, you're allowed to have an opinion, but I'm upset.
I didn't used to like Friends, but Joey Tribbiani really got me into that show. He's got some good kind of dumb humor, but genuinely good humor.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
Yeah,
he's a good guy.
That is also.
What's my mic on? It feels quiet. Is it quiet to you? I know sometimes my mic has to be quiet because I do be a yeller, but you need some light. Turn me up. Oh, that's already better. You probably didn't even touch it.
I turned you to like a 6.
Yeah.
So yeah, just halved it.
Boy, you needed it.
All right. It's been a bit since we've done an episode just you and me.
Oh, what?
What'd you say?
I said dirt bike sounds because that's what I was doing. I was making dirt bike sounds.
I mean, I don't know what you do at home, but been a bit since we've done an episode just you and me.
That's right.
Been doing had a lot of good guests recently.
I've had a lot of good guests, and we will continue to have good guests. But this one we had to do late, and it's good. You know, it's a good time.
Do late, yeah.
Episode 40.
Yeah, that's crazy.
40.
Yeah, that's wild. It also feels like we've done. It's in some ways it feels like we've done like only like 6 of these, and other ways it feels like we've done like 100 of them.
Yeah. No, I agree. There are, it's still a lot of fun, which is good.
I agree, dude. Yeah.
Sometimes when I know it's podcast night, I'm like, whew, gotta get mentally ready.
You know, I think that's why, like, when it was like, okay, because we had a couple of guests and we had to schedule this one a little bit later and couldn't get anybody or get the people that we were working with to come on this podcast. Yeah. And we have it now as like it's a backup of it's just you and me, which we did a lot in the beginning, and I think it's good to throw in there. So it's kind of our nice backup. And I was like, okay, that'll be fine. But it's like, it is going to be late. Like it's just going to be me and Thomas. I was like, man, should we reschedule this? And I was like, nah, like maybe let's try and switch it up a little bit. Like, so I think Alyssa appreciates that we're doing it from my home now. Oh, I should have grabbed a second lighter just in case. This episode might not be worth listening to. It worked. But yeah, I was like, let's switch it up a little bit. So like, let's appreciate that we're doing it at home. Mm-hmm. So I get to be home a little bit before the episode, help with Riley. Well, I helped a little bit, but I think just being here helps her a lot. And then I don't have to make the trip home afterwards. Like I'll be here, you know, I won't be getting home super late. And I was like, you know what? Like, maybe we do it on the back patio, smoke some cigars. I've been wanting to smoke a cigar for a while. I haven't in months. No, probably since Clyde's.
That was my last one too. I was when you said stogies on the back pierogies, I was pretty down. I was pretty down. What you been up to? Sleeping much?
Not sometimes. A ton. Yeah. Dude, I definitely. So I'm doing obviously Riley's about 4 months old now. So we hit the sleep regression probably around 3 months. So was waking up every hour. We're getting to the point now where we're learning.
Can I have the little one?
The nasal?
No, the little spray. Yes, the nasal spray, please. I'm going to put this back here for me if that's cool with you.
Yeah, you're good. I'm going to take the big one then.
Yeah.
But yeah, I want both. We finally got to the point where we learned like sometimes like you just can't do anything for Riley, like picking her up, feeding her, walking her around, whatever. It's like sometimes you just kind of got to cry it out.
Yeah.
And so we're learning that. We're getting better at that. But yeah, definitely sleep has been a little hit or miss. It seems like it's just starting to get better. But the thing that's kind of like adding to all of this is that I did join the Define Yourself challenge with everybody else. I think we have like think around like 50 people doing it this year, which is pretty cool.
Dope.
But doing it with everybody else, I'm taking it pretty seriously. So we got about a month left, and I'm getting pretty low calorie right now. So that on top of no sleep.
Yeah, low sleep, low cal.
Turn me a little bit of a zombie.
You got y'all got any delicacies in the fridge? Maybe a little soda pop?
Yeah. We got, dude, our diet soda pop, our zero sugar soda pop selection is pretty on point right now.
I'll be back, folks.
Could you grab my water bottle? Yeah. So for those listening at home, if Ryan doesn't decide to cut this, I guess this is what it's like when just Thomas and I get to hang out, which is not super often these days. So, honestly, the most time that we tend to hang out is on the podcast. Obviously, we've known each other for a long time. So this could be this could be an episode that is very interesting and a lot of fun, or not fun at all. Take a gamble. Press pause now. Change it to something else, or continue on this journey with us.
Kevin talking shit.
I'm giving a disclaimer.
Yeah.
I was like, this is going to be an interesting one.
We're kind of wore out, but it's all right. I think it's going to be good. We got things to talk about.
We've been wormed out on the podcast before.
Dude, straight wormed out. No legs, just wiggling. Underrated soda selection in there. Let me tell you, the Coke Zero caffeine is a beauty.
Dude.
A beauty.
Dude. That's
a late night soda sipper.
Ooh. Dude. That was the thing, is I was liking Diet Cokes, but that little bit of caffeine just was like kind of messing with my sleep a little bit.
Oh yeah, baby.
Yeah, we had to switch to that zero sugar, and we had to get that caffeine free. Comes in a red can, so you feel like you're drinking a real Coke too. Like something about that. Like, so they do diet caffeine free Coke, comes in a brown can. I don't know what it was about it. Was messing with me. Color of it, didn't like it.
Do you feel like there is a different, and this could make or break our friendship. I know. How long now? How long we've been friends? What?
13
years? I was going to say 13 or somewhere around there.
Yeah.
Gross. 13 years of friendship comes down to one question, which I'm curious. So are our viewers. Do you tell a difference between a Coke Zero and a Diet Coke?
I think so. A little bit.
I can tell big difference.
Big
I
difference?
do not like Diet Coke at all. And I can
Really?
drink my fluid ounces in weight of Coke Zero. Don't know what it is.
I feel like I'm having to turn to look at you this way. I know you're getting the corner spot.
Yeah, so deal with it. Look at the camera. Don't look at me.
Stack up the pillows.
We'll do it like Sports Center style, where we're just looking at the camera and just glancing at each other every once in a while. No, I don't know what it is. I think they use a different sweetener. It could honestly be the exact same shit, just in two different cans, and I'd be like, nope, it's not the same.
The color of the can does mess with me. Like, I know, like in supplements, a lot of times we even say like the color of the powder, the color that it mixes up in the bottle, like doesn't affect the flavor, which technically that's true. Yeah. But dude, visuals, I think do play into the actual, like, your experience of the flavor.
No, I agree.
But I'm of the opinion I can do either. They taste a little different. I think I like Coke Zero better than Diet Coke. Alyssa what's up?
It's a mile for me that I like Coke Zero better.
Yeah. Alyssa is the same, but in the opposite way.
Wow.
She likes Diet Coke, does not like Coke Zero.
Wow. Well, if her and I ever move in together again, we won't have to worry about sharing sodas.
That's true.
So that's a bonus.
That works. Yeah.
It's a bonus if we think about it.
Honestly, that's big roommate credentials.
You know what? It's not far off. It's going to be when you least expect it. That's what happened to me. Told you. We are also drinking one of the coolest if not, honestly, you shouldn't have let it go out. I was surprised. You're just gonna have to suck it, daddy. I got a lot of comments that'll make us take this episode down.
Yeah. Ryan, if you're listening, maybe just cut this whole thing from here.
I think we're doing good. We talked about the sodas.
That's good stuff right there.
Hey, man, I think you'd be surprised. I also get surprised as to, not to toot our own horn here, but I always do get surprised as to the amount of people that I think listen to these episodes. I will have people semi-regularly be like, I listen to you guys on my way to work every morning. And I'm like, that's crazy. We're like a little morning show. We need to get a soundboard.
Ooh.
That would be cool. We're just like dirt bike sounds.
That's what we have you for.
Oh yeah, I am the soundboard.
If we had a soundboard, we wouldn't need you.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
No,
it's just you and a soundboard.
Joey, our guy Joey and Norman today quoted one of the episodes. We were talking about tattoos, and he was like, "Didn't you say this about this on like with the artist on the episode with the artist?" And I was like, "Yeah, that's crazy."
Yeah. I will have customers that like I know pretty well or whatever, and they'll be like, yeah, listen to the episodes like free, and it's like, man, that is kind of odd because I don't think about it this way, I guess, but there are people who listen to us more than we've had the opportunity to talk to them. And I think that's like a really interesting thing because I think I've been in situations with people who like I can tell have listened to or tell me they listen to a lot of episodes. And I was like, it's kind of a weird thing in a cool way of being like, you know a lot about me and I don't know a lot about you.
Yeah, that is interesting too.
Tell me some embarrassing stories really fast. Yeah. You've heard a lot of mine.
Dude, that is, I feel like like you probably even have an idea on our personalities.
Oh yeah. Well, and like another one was Mason Kent, who I hadn't seen in a while. Just had a baby, and it seems like he's doing really well. But I hadn't seen him in a long time. Since being out of Norman and all that kind of stuff. And I know he's been doing different things. But ran into him at the more 4-star workout and got to talk to him for a while. And I was like, dude, I haven't seen you forever. Like I miss you. And his comment he said back to me was like, man, it's weird because I listen to your guys' podcast all the time. Like I feel like I have talked to you.
Yeah, that is weird. Yeah, we miss a lot of people we haven't seen, but there's a lot of people that don't miss us.
That sounds sad. Well, all right.
Take that out of context. That does not sound good.
That'll be the clip. Just that bit. Just that little bit.
There we go.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. People we miss don't miss us.
I was being happy about it.
It's a weird way to put it.
Speaking of, I gotta put you on my story.
Oh. Yeah, I'll repost it.
But yeah, no, I feel like I remember hearing like I guess we at least have like the benefit of like we know like at least kind of know of people. Like it's very much like a community. Like most people that listen to us, like we at least like know kind of them or like follow them on Instagram, this or that. I'm sure we've got some followers that we have no idea who they are, which is really cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like gosh, I'm trying to remember. It might have been like a Joe Rogan podcast or something where he was talking about like people that like talk to him, like they know him really well.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But he's never met, like how many people do that to him on a regular basis?
I was actually thinking about that of like when, like even when Mason brought that up, he's like, oh, I feel like I talked to you. And I'm like, dude, that is like a unique thing because when you listen to a podcast, like you almost feel, like a part of the conversation. Kevin will even make points in other people's podcasts.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked to him in his podcast before, so he knows me.
Yeah, right. But but that is a weird dynamic, especially when it's a podcast. I feel like the Joe Rogan Experience is a podcast where he is like, it's so long form, similar to ours, where like you kind of can't not be yourself. Like I couldn't fake it for the 80 hours plus or minus of content that we have. You know what I mean? I couldn't fake being a different person for 80 hours of content.
Yeah.
Like at some point it's just like I don't know what I would do. Like, it's just, this is just us.
Right. Better just go with who you are, and then hopefully people like you.
Yeah, right. Because there's no way. Like, I would have easily like fallen out of character. I don't know.
I think there was, I can't remember if it was his podcast or a post or something back in the day, but I remember Andy talking about that. Andy Frisella, I'm sure a lot of people know him, especially the people that listen to us. Andy, if you're listening, we appreciate you.
Yeah. Hey, he could be.
He could be. He likes some of my posts. The one where I think the only one in particular I can remember is the one where I like posed like showing my butt and did duck lips in the mirror at the gym.
That one got Andy.
Yeah, Andy liked that post.
Oh, there you go.
But he made a post one time about trying to be someone else or trying to be the person that you think people are going to gravitate to.
Yeah.
And the people that would gravitate to that actual person are going to recognize that you're being fake.
Yeah.
That you're way better off just being the person that you are. And the people that do actually like that type of person will gravitate to you.
That makes sense.
So if you try and be someone else, you end up with nobody. But if you're yourself, you'll actually, you may not pull everybody, but you'll at least pull some people.
Well, it's just like the thing we've talked about at nauseam, I feel like, but it's like the don't make pina colada without the coconut. Like you gotta just be for somebody.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you try to be for everybody, it won't work.
Yeah.
Speaking of pina coladas,
do you want to crack it, or you want me to crack it?
No, you crack it.
This one is you have your own too.
I know. This is the coolest tequila bottle that Kevin and I both happen to own, because I bought both of them.
I've heard
this was a gift.
I've heard you tell this story in person, and I think once on the podcast with Clyde. But you should give at least a quick one of how you got this bottle.
So this is Tequila Fortaleza Añejo, which is like for anybody who doesn't know, it's a pretty darn sought after bottle of tequila. I don't know why I just said it like that, but we're going for it. But this is something that I have specifically been looking for a long time, just because I wanted to. Kevin and I typically gift each other bottles of either tequila or whiskey for different things, and so this is kind of like congrats on having a baby, and like a little bit of everything rolled in one, like Christmas and a baby rolled in one. And I had been searching for this for a long time, and on the secondary market they are expensive. So when Laurel and I were actually in San Francisco, we were riding the bus somewhere, and there was this like nice like liquor store that I saw off one of the more main streets downtown. And Laurel was kind of tired one night, and I still had plenty of energy. And so I was like, hey, like, I'm going to go walk around. And she was like, okay, cool. And I was like, I'm going to go to that liquor store and see if I can't find anything cool, maybe for a gift. And I walked in and looked around at different stuff, and they had a good selection. Prices weren't like anything too crazy. And then behind the counter, sitting there, let me sniffle this, drop it and break it.
We at least have a second bottle.
Whoa.
Dude. That cork smells really good too, actually. I don't know if that's a thing people do with tequila, but
you shuckle the cork.
We do.
Dude, that is so citrusy. Smell that again. That's super citrusy.
Did you get any vanilla notes in that?
A little bit.
Like that smells like, citrusy.
Welcome to the Sniffcast. We smell things, and you guys get to listen. I don't know. I'm pretty excited about this, though. That smells pretty damn good. Anyway, behind the counter, behind the guy, was a couple of bottles of Tequila Fortaleza. He had Blanco, Reposado, and Añejo. And I've gotten Kevin a bottle of Reposado, which is awesome. One of the most sought after bottles around. And then I had never seen the añejo in real life. And so I like never seen it in person, never seen it anywhere. And he had,
I've never seen any Fortaleza in person.
yeah, I've never seen
on the
it,
shelves.
yeah, I've never seen it in Oklahoma. I got you the Reposado in Missouri,
Mhm.
and then got the añejo in San Francisco. And I remember like turning and looking and being like, kind of joking, like, how much is that? And he told me a retail price, and I said, how many can I buy? And he says, well, I have 2 bottles here. And I said, I will take both of them.
Yeah.
And I carried them back to the hotel room as tightly close to my chest as I could. And this is a pretty cool deal because this is about as hard to find a bottle of tequila as there is. So I don't even know what to compare it to, I guess. Do a little cheers. Cheers.
Yeah.
Episode 40.
Yeah, the citrus really comes out in the glass. Dude, I'm like, this might even sound bad at first, but I'm like, it's like that almost doesn't even taste like tequila in the sense that it's just like I'm so used to it having like that bite and like that tequila-y kind of like alcohol-y like burn, but like holy shit,
That's pretty damn good.
I don't know how they separated out all the bad parts of tequila and kept all the good parts, but
Wow. Dude. I dare you to shoot the rest of that.
I will not. Nope. Not doing that.
Yeah. So I was able to, and not to brag, more just excited. I was able to buy 2 bottles of Tequila Fortaleza Añejo at retail price.
So you get to try it and you still get to have an unopened bottle at home. I still have most of that bottle of Reposado.
Yeah, that's not, these are, I don't know the next time we're going to drink this.
No, for real. It's I opened the Reposado, the Fortaleza Reposado. We opened it up on my birthday. We drank some on my birthday. Let a few other people try some. You know, people that like appreciate it or even wanted to try tequila that were there. I have not opened it up since.
Yeah, right.
So
It's kind of like my my bottle of what's it called? We talked about it in the Jans episode. My 23 year, or my 20 year.
Why can't I think of that?
It's not Blood Oath. It's the other one.
Same square bottle like the Blood Oath.
Yeah.
Gosh, and they make a lot of scotches too, like a lot of really old scotches too.
Yeah, they make a couple. It's something about, it's like Orphan Barrel.
There it is.
It's the Orphan Barrel Barter House. I have not opened that bottle since probably the last time you and I had a drink of it. Which 6 years ago, maybe. I don't know.
Which was that after my show?
I think it was.
And that's okay. My last show, this is getting crazy. My last show was 5 years ago, but this was the show before that, 3 years prior to that.
Yeah.
So this was almost 8 years ago.
Whoops.
That was actually, I think, shortly after you moved to Oklahoma, because you moved like 2 weeks before I competed in 2016.
Yeah.
And yeah, dude, moving all of my stuff and helping you move, being in show prep. Don't do that.
Yeah.
That was a mistake. I was so drained.
Oh, I bet.
Yeah. I think I might have counted that minus my cardio on a couple of days.
Yeah, well, yeah, you were a real trooper though, because you drove all the way up to Springfield, helped me pack it all up, and then drove us back.
Yeah,
Oof.
dude. Alyssa and I are the same way. When we move, dude, we get in a zone of like, get it done. Like, I don't know why, but neither of us. Yeah, it's crazy,
Dude, this is super good. That's right. I mean, it's terrible for everybody looking. Who's ever wanted to try this, it's not very good. Don't worry about it.
That's I do get some people responding to some stories of just like, oh yeah, I'll have to snag. Like they'll be like, oh man, how is that? You know, and
Yeah.
I'll I'll tell them how it is and everything. Like, oh yeah, I'll have to snag a bottle like next time I'm at the store.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't ever say anything because I don't want to be an asshole. But
Yeah,
like,
right.
I think that is probably something to preface with. A lot of what not everything, but a lot of the stuff that we drink is like, it's like stuff that's like you have to
good luck,
hunt for.
Suckers. You ain't getting any.
It's stuff you have to hunt for, and like I think that's part of the fun in it is with the bourbon community.
I have been looking for this bottle. When did I get you the Reposado?
That was my 30th birthday. I'm 31 now, so probably it was about a year and a half in between.
Yeah. I have been looking for this bottle since then, and I have never seen one in the wild.
Probably even prior to that, because I'm sure you were looking for Fortaleza Reposado, or Fortaleza in general when you found the Reposado.
I came across the Reposado. So yeah, it's probably been closer to 2 years that I have been like looking for that bottle. And again, that's the craziest thing is like just a walk-in too, not like a no search. Like that's a lot of how this stuff happens. You'll like find out a drop's happening or whatever. It's like I literally just raw dogged in there, and there's just 2 freaking bottles sitting there. And I'm like, how much you want? And he's like, $70. And I'm like, yeah, both of them. Thank you.
Dude, I keep an eye out on some of the bourbon pages. I'll see people post tequilas, and sometimes you'll see some Fortalezas pop up. And I see a lot of Blancos, or not even a lot of Blancos, but like when I see Fortaleza, I usually see a Blanco. I think I've seen an Añejo once or twice, even on secondary. Yeah. So it's like, it's even hard to come by like people finding it and reselling it. But I feel like that goes to show like, when you're in another town, like in another city, like sometimes you'll find stuff that you can't find that's like not distributed here, or maybe just not as popular. Yeah, exactly. No, I think there's 2 things that if you are hunting is 1, searching when you're out of town, like stopping in other places. And 2, building relationships. So like Jance, like, good, like building relationships. Like sometimes you'll get people setting bottles back for you. Sometimes you get like invites on different things. Dude, there was a guy that posted he's like, got this haul from when I was out of town, and he posted like multiple Stag Juniors, multiple Taylors, like different Taylors. Dude, I think he posted like Thomas Handy and like all this crazy stuff, and it was like, what? It's like, dude, you had to have someone setting that stuff back for you.
There's no way.
Apparently he went to like some tiny or like some like town up in like Minnesota in the winter months that it's only like locals and people don't visit, and so like they get the same amount of allocated stuff as like other places, but it's just nobody's like traveling and stopping there.
That's crazy.
So he was like, dude, it was just like a gold mine.
Wow.
So
yeah, I don't blame him. You could buy all that and then make his money back from the whole trip, probably.
Dude, he said he's like, I could have bought more, but he's like, I ran out of capital.
Yeah.
So
that's nuts. I was more stressed about getting these bottles home.
Yeah.
I wrapped them up in like, it's funny getting through TSA, I'm sure, but like I like wrapped them in a hoodie each and then shoved them into like 2 sides of like two boots. So they were like, my boots they were inside the boot. Looked like I was smuggling them. Hey, whatever. They didn't break. I was so nervous that they were going to break because that would be like double terrible. Like broken, then it's broken glass in my clothes and shoes and like all of my belongings.
It is funny how it's like you have now one mission in life is to just get this home in one piece, and I don't really care about anything else until it happens.
Yeah, right though. It's like, jeez. Yeah. But we did it. We did it, boys. We got it in.
And here we are, enjoying the fruits of your labor.
Enjoy my fruits. Enjoy my labor.
I do enjoy your fruits.
Yeah, well, good deal. What else you been doing besides not sleeping? I've been not to brag, since you haven't been sleeping, but I have been really focusing on my like sleep hygiene recently, and your boy's kind of bougied out. So you're gonna laugh at this because like you can't do any of it right now because you have a baby. Idiot. So I've been a sleep mask guy for a while. Let's get comfortable.
I'm listening.
I've been a sleep mask guy for a while, like the eye cover things. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I got a nice one that's got like, they're like cutouts, so it's like you don't actually feel pressure on your actual eyelids. There's like little, eye holes. You can't see through. It's still like full blackout. But I've been doing that for a while, and apparently it's really good for like keeping, obviously light out of your eyes, but like keeping you through better sleep cycles and stuff while you're sleeping. I wear a nose strip to get my nasal capacity open.
You got a whole setup for sleep.
Oh, I'm not done. I ain't done. I haven't moved to mouth taping, and that's a big one. That's like supposed to help.
That's kind of scary.
No, I'm with you. I like feel like I can only ever breathe through my nose like 75%. I don't know if I have a deviated septum. I might, but like it ain't so good all the time on the breathing. The nose strips help when I'm sleeping, but if I were to like get kind of a runny nose, I would panic. So like, they make ones that are just like little Hitler mustache looking things, but I don't wear those obviously
for obvious reasons.
Yeah, right. But yeah, I haven't done that. I don't know if I ever will. That's kind of weird. I don't know why that's weird and none of my other stuff's not, but I do think it just kind of freaks me out a little bit. We got to keep in mind too that sometimes the neighbors get a little rowdy at our apartment, so I can hear them sometimes. So I started doing earplugs, and I liked the earplugs, but I get real weird with my ears sometimes. Like if you cut off air to my ears and I can feel it, bleh, I hate that feeling. Like, have you ever wore AirPod Maxes, the like over the ear Apple earphones? Well, when you do like the noise canceling, it pressurizes inside of there and you can feel the pressure in your ear. Laurel is like, I love it. I don't even notice anything. I want to have a panic attack.
Does it pop your ears at all?
No. It's not like that. It just, I don't know how to describe it. It just, you know, when you have earplugs in and you just like feel the air go out of your ears and it just kind of gets like a kind of a different feeling.
I probably, but like I'm trying to
I might just
like, is that something that you typically experience? Like I know like your ears pop on a plane, like you deal with pressure in the plane, but like is that like something that would happen on a plane?
No, it's not like that. It's like I don't know how to describe it.
If you were to put your mouth to my ear and suck out,
like take one of your ear things off and like get the palm of your hand and like make an airtight seal and like press on it. Can you make it like, you feel how that air pressure kind of like pushes a little bit in there?
Yeah.
That feeling makes me want to throw up. I don't like that feeling, not one bit.
Yeah, I haven't tried that. I don't think that would bother. It might like be weird at first, but I think I would get used to it.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I might be like diagnosing myself right now with something I don't know. But that will
iridocophobia,
dude. That will. Bleh, I don't like that. I don't like my ears messed with. That's like the funny thing, because so many people in jiu-jitsu get cauliflower ear. And there are people who are like less than a year into jiu-jitsu and get cauliflower ear. And then there's black belts that don't have it, right? But
certain people prone to it kind of deal.
Yeah. And it's funny because I don't think I will ever get it because I don't like my ears messed with. So like when my ear gets put into a bad position, I'm like, nope, I'm out of there. No thanks. Not a chance.
You do have some kind of weird phobia.
Yeah. It just messes with me, dude. It crosses wires in my brain and I just can't deal with it. So anyway, those earplugs can do that a little bit. You know, like, I don't want to throw up while I'm sleeping.
Yeah.
So but I can kind of work around it and it can be okay. But your boy, got himself something new. They are same kind of eye mask with the eye cutouts. And then they actually kind of go over your ears and inside of them on each side is a tiny little Bluetooth speaker. Right. So on Spotify, my go-to playlist right now is 10 hours of relaxing rain sounds. And so literally I just turn it down like really faintly where I wouldn't hear like somebody next door like playing their TV. But if Laurel was like, hey, I'd be like, what? You know? But it is the most relaxing thing. Like last night, I've been like really working on not being on my phone or not watching TV or anything right before I go to bed because I've been tracking my sleep and the difference in my like deep sleep cycles. If I watch TV, especially if I play like video games or play on my phone or something that gets my heart rate up a little bit, I will get like 30 minutes of deep sleep all night. Like I'll get like an hour and a half or 2 hours of REM cycle sleep, but if like deep sleep, I will get 30 minutes. And I've tested this now in like multiple ways, but if I don't watch TV or I don't play video games or get on my phone, but I read Lord of the Rings, specifically right now, I will get like an hour and a half of deep sleep. And so the difference is like super, I know we've talked about this a little bit, but the like difference is super different for me. So much so that if it's like last night I was watching the Thunder game and I got to halftime and I was like really tired and I'm like, but I need to like go get ready for bed, lay down in bed and don't just try to go immediately to sleep, like literally sit and try to read for a while to calm myself down into it. But I just put the eye mask thing over my forehead so the speakers are still in my ears. And so I'm just like listening to like rain sounds and I'm just reading Lord of the Rings. And I was like, this is honestly delightful.
Dude, you know, two things. One, your Spotify Wrapped's going to be funny at the end of the year. Lisa was saying the same thing. She plays a lot of white noise for Riley. And so hers is going to be weird at the end of the year too.
That's funny.
But two, you know, one thing I realized was like way more difficult than I thought would be to do, but I've gotten a lot better at it, and it is extraordinary. But to literally do nothing, to like sit on the couch or like lay in bed and not be going to sleep, but to just literally do nothing and just let your thoughts go. It is
just vegetabilize.
Yeah. So, and I'm sure like a lot of people, it's becoming probably an increasingly harder and harder thing for people to do, or like just not a super common thing for people to do. But like, especially like with the business and just everything, like trying to get everything done in the day, you know, it's a constantly going from one thing to the next. And so then you get home and you're like, okay, check messages and like, okay, let's see what's going on social media. Okay, the TV's on, you know, all right, like, well, let's do a few things.
Stimulation.
You realize, dude, I think the first time I did it, I finally realized it was like, I have probably not done nothing in years.
Yeah.
And the first time I tried to do it was like extremely anxiety provoking.
Yeah.
And it was like I had to like sit and like concentrate to try and get through it and not end up going and doing something or grabbing my phone or something like that.
So you're meditating.
Yeah, I think that's the word for it.
Yeah. Turns out. Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was, and I didn't do that like intentionally, but it was just like
you discovered meditation.
Yeah, but like holy shit, that
you discovered cavitation.
But like it wasn't like, I don't know, like when I hear meditation, it's probably more basic than what I think, but I think like, okay, like there's like a process to it. Like, you know, have you
ever looked up the process of it?
I've did it. I remember I did it, I think when I was in high school, because there were other kids like in some class that were doing meditation. And I was like, oh, that actually kind of sounds interesting. And I went through the process. I fell asleep.
Yeah.
Pretty
classic.
Yeah. So, but yeah, so like I've been going about it a way with like where there's not really a process, but just like let's just sit and do nothing for a second. And I can tell like when that's going to be good for me.
Yeah.
To just, and like, obviously I do it, you know, when I do have a little bit of time, but like, holy shit, dude, it's been nice. I did it last night. Like, Riley was hanging out. I think I had her like, she was in her bassinet, but like playing with stuff and like had like a toy, and she was like occupied enough that I like, she didn't really recognize if I was there or not. So I was like, I'm just going to lay down in bed. And I just laid there and just like looked up at the ceiling fan, and like my thoughts just went like all kind of over the place, and I just let them go where they want, like where it wanted to.
So it's almost nice. Meditation, almost not, because like with meditation, what you're supposed to do is just focus on your breathing and like literally that be the only thing. It's like a muscle though. Like you got to train it, because you're like, as soon as your mind goes, because you're like, breathing. When do I breathe? I breathe during this. Oh, this. What is this? Why do I do this? And you're like, oh yeah, my mind is wandering. And it's like, as soon as it goes, then it's like you bring it back to just breathing, but you just let it go.
Yeah. And so, okay, yeah, that's probably the biggest difference, because I remember doing that when I was in high school, of like trying to like get back to the breathing, trying not to let my mind wander, like go off into these other thoughts, like coming back to the breath. But yeah, it's sitting and doing nothing and just letting my mind wander. I think I read about this. I can't remember where or heard about it, but it was some professor that asked his students to sit and do nothing for 30 minutes as like homework, and to document like afterwards, you know, what your experience was like. Like put yourself in a place where there's no stimulation, like no TV, like go in a closet or in a dark room or something like that, and just let your mind wander. And the students had a very similar experience. It was like they like got extremely anxious at first, but once they got comfortable with where they were, their mind ended up kind of going to different places, and most of them ended up saying that they were able to think through problems or things that were causing stress in their life almost like very quickly and get through some major problems.
Yeah. Well, super interesting. I had a English professor in college that kind of did the same thing where he was like, you were supposed to I don't even think it was a week. It was not a long time. It was like 3 days or something like that, where it was like you were to avoid as much like media as you could. So that like included like trying to not be on your phone, not watching TV, not watching a movie, like whatever. And we wrote a paper on it. And I remember my paper just being about how like you literally can't escape it now. Like you go to a gas station. I filled up my gas tank on the way here, and literally there was a TV screen on the gas station pump playing soccer highlights. It's like it's everywhere.
Dude, it really is everywhere.
It's literally everywhere.
Yeah.
And so it's like, it's super interesting to think about. That is, ironically enough, kind of made a post about this the other day, but that has been my like running. Since I've started running, is being able to kind of blends the lines a little bit for me of like being productive in like doing like a form of fitness, but a form of fitness that forces me to like self-reflect, or because I'm just there with my thoughts, and I can listen to music.
It doesn't take a whole lot of like active thinking to run.
Yeah, almost none.
Yeah.
I say that there's more than you think, but like
I'm sure.
But it's also one of those where it's like, but you're right. It's not like I have
not nearly as much as jujitsu.
No, God, no. Yeah, where it's like there's plenty of like just thought time, and it's a really interesting. It's a really cool thing because I too don't think I have like a lot of hobbies, I guess, or things where, sometimes my hobbies are like things that are cleansing in the sense of like they're the only thing I can think about while I'm doing them, which is nice with like jujitsu, because jujitsu is like a break from everything, where like running,
it forces you to forget everything else.
Yeah, I can't think about something else while I'm doing jujitsu. It is the only thing on my mind. Where like running is kind of the opposite at times, where running is kind of like same kind of like physical exertion, not the same, but you know what I mean. Another thing that is physical exertion, but also like a lot of time to think about a whole bunch of things besides running.
Yeah.
So it's kind of interesting. It's kind of a yin and yang for me right now. And
dude, that's it kind of sounds like my time walking the dogs in the morning, which I very much do for the dogs. Like if it weren't for the dogs, I would not go on walks. Like that's not my jam.
Yeah.
But it kind of forces me, especially in the morning, where I'm like a little bit like I'm like anxious to kind of get going and start my day, and it's just like, no, I got to spend 20, 30 minutes, walk the dogs around, get them active, like before, especially if Alyssa and I are leaving for the day. Yeah. But Ben, I have figured out some pretty major problems.
Yeah.
While I'm walking, like things that have like been a stressor for me for like multiple days or even multiple weeks in a row. Like I can remember 2 or 3 walks specifically, like where exactly I was in the walk, what part of the neighborhood, what neighborhood I was in, like somewhere even at the old house. But can remember specifically coming to that aha moment of like, this is how we solve this issue. And just being like, like get back home quickly so I can like start making notes and stuff of what I thought of.
Well, it's interesting because like it's one of the few times I feel like I purposefully ignore distractions. Like I'm not, it's kind of funny because like I do, because it's a good feature and a bad feature that when I'm listening to my AirPods while I'm running, that like it will read me text messages, which I could turn off, I'm sure. But it is also kind of nice, unless the group chat is going on something stupid and I'm like, golly. Then I just take my headphones out.
It's stressful sometimes.
Yeah. But it is like there are so few distractions in that sense. And it's like, or the distractions are very just like, like visual, just kind of like looking around, enjoying, going on my own little walk, enjoying the sights and smells and stuff. But it is one of those that like, I don't know, the distractions are very minimal. And so I'm still just kind of like in this space with myself. And I never, ever, dude, you could have asked me 6 months ago if I thought I'd be running the way I'm running right now, and I would have laughed my patookus off at you.
Alyssa was giving you a compliment the other day. She's like, I can almost not even imagine Thomas running. She saw that you posted that you ran 10 miles.
Yeah, yesterday. Ran 10 miles yesterday.
She was, I guess you were saying yesterday. She's like, I can almost not even imagine Thomas running 10 miles.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I can't.
That's impressive.
I can't imagine myself running 10 miles.
Yeah,
and I've done it.
Yeah, and she.
No, I've done it, and I can't imagine it.
No, she was complimenting me. She's like, I don't even think I could run for a mile straight right now. So.
Yeah, yeah, I don't. I'm in the same boat. I literally I've always the idea of running has always been alluring to me. Where I'm like, that's interesting. I feel like that would be something that people, the way they talk about it, runners love running, and you're like, I hate running, and I'm like, that's I don't know,
what's the allure to it? Almost curious of why there.
Yeah, I mean, it's just I don't know. It's just a kind of a cool hobby. I feel like it's one of those things where, and I think it is so funny because it is such a grass is always greener kind of thing. But in the sense of I've spent so many years as a pretty large, pretty strong person where it's to the point where when I watch people do impressive weightlifting, I'm like, that's cool. And that's impressive. But I'm not oh my gosh. But somebody being I can run 26.2 miles at a 7-minute mile pace. I'm like, that is mind-boggling to
7
me.
minutes and for 1 mile is impressive.
Oh, and that's not even that that's good, but there are plenty of people in Oklahoma City that can do much better than a 7-minute mile for a marathon.
That's crazy.
Not a ton. It's probably the same amount of people who can squat 600 pounds.
Yeah.
Something like that. I don't know. But there's a lot more than you think.
Dude, there's the guy that won the Memorial Marathon. I can't remember what year. Probably mid 2010s, probably around 2015 or so.
That dude's a beast.
He's a customer with us.
Yeah.
So
and that dude's a beast.
Yeah.
The thing is there are people who finish the Memorial Marathon in under 2.5 hours, which is bananas.
Yeah.
There's a dude that one of the guys that works at one of the running stores in town ran a 2:22 marathon. That is a 5:22 mile for 26.2 miles straight. And people do not grasp how fast a 5.5 minute mile, we'll call it 5.5 minute mile.
I feel like you should, did you run a mile in high school? Did they require your,
Yeah. But I think there's I don't know. I think people forget, and I think people.
I think I can remember my times. I think I got close to 7 minutes one time.
That's awesome.
I think it was a 7:11 or 12 or something like that.
That's
awesome.
The
best that I had.
Yeah, that's great.
And that's for 1 mile.
Right. And that's the thing. But my point is what people don't realize is if you were to go against that end of your fence over there and sprint to the other end of your fence, it's probably about I don't know, 25, 30 yards, right? I don't know why I picked yards, but I'm watching the combine.
I would have gone with yards too. When I work with longer distances, I feel like I can eyeball yards better than feet.
Yeah, right. I'm that's about a 40-yard dash. But it's I don't think people grasp, and the way I've kind of joked about it on the store of talking to people is if I were to nothing's in front of me, if you were Thomas, run to your car as fast as you can, and I just dead sprinted to my car that's 40 yards away, and you were to multiply that out to a mile, that ain't a 5:30 mile, brother. That ain't a 5:30 mile.
Can't even do it for
no. That
can't have that pace at 40-yard at a 4-yard dash.
Literally, that's what I'm saying is that is faster than the majority of people can sprint. That is a sprint.
Yeah, that's
for
crazy.
A lot of people. I have not done a mile just a timed mile for pace in a long time, minus one I did maybe since high school, but I did time a mile the other day. I have a little thing that's kind of funny. Vincent and I were talking about this because Vincent's a good person to talk about this with because he's all into like different modalities of fitness in general. Mm-hmm. But we were kind of going back and forth and we were talking about some things and we were like, what do we can like if I said like if somebody were to come to me and say they can do all of these things at any given moment, right? Like not like last year I could do this or 3 years ago I did this, but like at any given moment,
right?
Like your ability to do this,
be able to do all those things at once.
Yeah, and like we kind of jokingly coined it like the 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, like if it was a challenge. It is a challenge kind of for me right now, but it is like any given moment for anybody, you know, I guess like this would be for guys. But it's like at any given moment, I can bench at least 300 pounds, squat at least 400 pounds, pull at least 500 pounds, run a mile in the sixes. So like a 6:59 counts, like anything under 7. So 3, 4, 5, 6, and then 10 is to be able to run a 10 mile. Like somebody, if you're like, yep, I bench 315, I squat 405, I can pull, 510, I can run a 6:42 mile and I can run a 10 mile. I'd be like, that's a fucking menace.
Yeah.
Like that is somebody who is... That is a lot of like above average impressive things all wrapped into one package.
No, yeah, each individual thing is like a decently impressive thing, but all together at once is
yeah.
Like
not saying you'd have to do it all in a day, but that you could do any one of those feats in a day if you needed to.
Right. Yeah, I could pick from any of the like right now. I could pick from any of those and you'd be able to do them.
Right.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's a pretty cool thing. Because again, there's the balance of like the harder you push strength wise, like
for sure,
you're gonna lose speed or you're gonna lose distance. It's like
same vice versa,
right? Like there's a huge balance to the whole thing,
dude. That's that is pretty cool to kind of try and be able to do multiple things at once. And I think people are starting to kind of transition into that, like multifaceted, being in shape in multiple categories. I think obviously CrossFit's very much like that, but I think people are starting to kind of even just kind of do it a little bit on their own.
Yeah.
Man, it's definitely not my style of training. I feel like I do pride myself on, I do think I've at least like
you do a lot of cardio though. Like you do a lot of like
that's true
tough cardio things.
So
you'll do like wing gates or stuff like that.
And that's very much and I kind of like that my cardio is that way. It's that way for a few different reasons. One, so like I typically only do about 5 minutes of cardio, but it's like I'll do like Tabata or like some kind of interval training that's gonna like I'm walking out the gym like this is after I've like
I'm grabbed
all my
rate.
Stuff. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I'm full max heart rate.
Yep. Like I'm out of breath, like getting in my car. And big reason for that is one, so I don't have to do 30 extra minutes in the gym. And two is because I feel like it does help like in like one, like keeping me in like better cardiovascular shape. Like I can like, it makes it more possible to like do random things. But does also help with my lifting as well, man. Cause it's like, dude, when I'm like doing legs, it's like, I'm not doing like a set for 30 minutes. I'm doing a set for 60 seconds. So it's like I'm doing like my cardio is like I'm training to be able to like my lungs to keep up with what my legs are trying to do kind of deal. So
it is really interesting because that's been something I've been doing a lot of like studying and training into is like zones of cardio and different things. And so it's like obviously like my 10-mile run, I am far from redlining. I say that towards the end of a 10-mile run, a pretty small jog will get your heart rate going.
Yeah.
But you have to kind of push past that like threshold sometimes. And that was that run for me yesterday.
Get to that runner's high kind of deal or.
Well, I mean, the runner's high came a whole lot earlier. It came and went. You kind of get into that, like, it's really an interesting thing. I am a firm believer that the first mile is the worst mile. The first mile is my body trying to convince me to go back and just sit down at home. That first mile sucks. My shins hurt, my calves hurt, my everything hurts, my legs are like, what are you doing? I've even warmed up and they're just like, screw you, dude.
Yeah.
But then around like 2 miles in, especially like 2.5 miles in, that's when I'm like, my music, I'm really starting to enjoy, and I'm really like, I'm liking what I'm looking at. And I'm like, I start to realize like, oh, okay, like I've been able to keep my heart rate like where I want it for the last like while. I haven't had any like fluctuations. Cause it's a really interesting thing when you're like hard zone 2 cardio training is like, if my heart rate gets too high, I have to walk.
Yeah.
Like I literally have to walk I look at my watch and it's like connected to my chest strap. And like, I go, oh shit, I'm at like 165. Got to walk for the next like 100 feet or whatever. And then like, cool, I'm back down to 140. All right, time to jog again.
Yeah.
And so it's a super interesting thing because I'm not trying to really, most of the time I do heart rate and time. I'm not worried about pace or distance. I will push distance purposefully, but I can't really necessarily push pace. Like pace just comes with heart rate training.
Right.
And so it's like, you know, in a few months from now, when I'm running, you know, my pace will go from, for a longer distance, it will go from 11 minutes at that heart rate, you know, at my 150 heart rate or whatever, will drop to, you know, well, maybe I'm at like 10:30 now or whatever, where it's like I've cut 30 seconds, but I'm staying at the same heart rate. And so it's really interesting because you're trying to do that. And, but yeah, so mile 3, you're like feeling great. I think that I really enjoy miles like 2, 3, like 2.5, 3, to about 7.5.
So that runner's high falls off, huh?
Yes and no. The runner's high is just combated with like legs, like I'm starting to get sore. So that's the like, that like 2.5 or 3 mile all the way to like 7. At least this is in my experience. Somebody might be like, this guy's an idiot, but it's like, I'm feeling great. La-di-da-di-da. I could do this pace all day. I just like, whatever. I can do this as long as I need to.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. I'm like, it's weird, but I'm a firm believer, especially now, that like, if you can run 3 miles, you can run 7 miles. But if you can run 7 miles, that doesn't mean you can run 10.
Yeah.
That is where I feel like at least you can really hit a wall.
There's certain thresholds.
Yeah, where like I was like, oh, I can run 3 miles. Oh, then 4 is nothing. Then 6 is nothing. You know what I mean? And so then it's like, 7, like 8, 9, and like 10 are like. Every step you're like, you can do it, you can push yourself, you can do it, you can do it, you can, and you like don't realize like you got a long time left to be doing that. Especially mine hit me yesterday at about 8 miles. I was like, and I'm not close to home. You know what I mean? Like
you're 2 miles away, man.
Yeah, like I'm downtown, so I can grab a scooter, I guess, if I need to.
Yeah.
But I'm at like 8 miles, and I'm at like. You also don't realize how freaking far running 10 miles is. You got to go all over the damn town to get 10 miles. But yeah, that like 8, 9, and 10, I was like, you can do it. Just keep pushing. Yeah. Like you got it. Like knowing that like 10 was my goal for the day. Like I was going to get 10. I knew I'd be pissed if I stopped at 9.5 or something like that.
Yeah.
So, but that was, and then you got to cool down, and then you got to like shower, and then you got to start getting recovery going immediately. Yeah. Or like you're going to be done the next day. Yeah,
dude. I think when Alyssa first said 10 miles, I was like, that's a pretty good amount. And then I like thought about like what it is to like run a full, like just a mile. I'm like, fuck, man, that's 10 is a lot. And when you do this, the heart rate training or the zone training, do you find that you can control your heart rate at all with like your breathing, or like, can you like work to get it down without having to stop running at all?
Depends on your fitness level. Me right now, not enough. No, like I can really slow down my jog, but it's like at that point, like the jog might as well just be like, I'd be faster to walk and get my heart rate back down and then jog and just not go as hard.
Yeah. I feel like, so I use, if I do, sometimes I'll do a little bit more steady state. It's usually not trying to keep it in a super low zone, but like I'll do like maybe Stairmaster or like, bike or something. And sometimes, and a lot of times I'm doing interval training with that, but they got those little heart rate monitors on the actual equipment. And I'll grab onto those every once just because I'm curious. And there's sometimes I work to like try and stay calm, even though I'm like pushing pretty hard, like stay calm and like control my breathing and like to try and work to get my heart rate down. I don't know if I actually am or not. I don't know how accurate those things are, but like I'm like just like doing my best to try and like
respiratory rate's a big part of that.
So I figured,
like
I wasn't sure,
breaths and like holding, like like really taking good breaths and kind of things. Like your respiratory rate will definitely control it, but there is also like that. I feel like you can only out breathe so hard of training though, where it's like it just doesn't matter. Like my last like few miles was like a struggle to keep my heart rate where it needed to be because like it's so tough. And at that point you're kind of just like, like I'm going to keep my heart rate here, but at the same point, like it is my hard run for the week, so it's not the biggest deal if I'm out of my heart rate zone. I'll still probably average like what I want to average, but like my last few miles were definitely pretty high.
I was going to say, if you're doing like, I feel like you probably went into that intentionally, like I'm going to do 10 miles. Like that's at least the goal kind of deal. So like maybe not as much zone training there. So
yes and no. Like I still am very much attached to the zone training, but I was only planning on doing 6 miles yesterday and I just felt good. And the weather was nice, and I kind of plotted a path that I knew in my head was going to be about 4 miles. And I was like, I kind of feel pretty good today. And I knew that because prior 6 was about as far as I've ever gone. And I was at 5 and I felt pretty good. And I was like, man, I've got a lot left in the tank. I don't know if I can double what I'm doing right now. So there was a little gas station on my trek. And I ran into the gas station and got a Gatorade and a chocolate chip cookie. Let's carb up, just get some glycogen back. And then out the door I went and then just kept running for another 5 miles.
Dude, it is crazy when you do long distance stuff like that. Like I know like goo packets and like carbohydrate drinks and stuff are like real big in like endurance sports like that. But I don't think people, if you don't do those, it's hard to realize like how much that plays a difference.
Oh yeah. I would not have made it.
Dude, I noticed.
I could have used maybe another one.
Dude, I think this was sometime last year. I pulled my intra-workout carbs for a little bit, just kind of like we were doing some fluctuations on calories a little bit, and I pulled my intra-workout carbs, and I had a decent amount of carbs like otherwise, but not like at this point in time, it wasn't like crazy. Like I think I was at least a little bit in a deficit, not in a surplus. I pulled my intra-workout carbs and I noticed quite a bit of a difference in my workouts, which is interesting because like I've done intra-workout carbs for years and it's been a long time since I'd pulled intra-workout carbs. I kept my intra-workout carbs my last prep in 2019. But I pulled them and I was like, I'm hitting 80% of a normal workout, at best, every single time I was doing that. I was like, so I added those back in and pulled some carbs somewhere else.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, endurance sports, I feel like you hit that wall, man. It is a game changer with those.
Well, then you just like you get to a point that I hadn't gotten to before where like, dude, you're literally like your legs are just like, all right, that's enough. And you start like thinking about these dudes that like run freaking 100Ks and like, dude, like get out of here, man. Like running 100K. Like I ran a little over a 15K and like you want me to do that freaking, 6 times over? Like, yeah, right. Like that's bananas. I just like can't imagine. Like it's crazy that people's legs can hold up for that long. And granted, like I don't know how many people are running 100Ks that weigh 255 pounds like I do. But
that might be, you could potentially set a record.
The heaviest 100K. That'd be hilarious. But yeah, it's, dude, it's a definite thing. And I think that's part of it too, where like, kind of going back to the 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 thing that we were talking about before was like, in something like that, like the weights don't scare me. The weights don't scare me at all. Like those are all numbers I've comfortably hit many a times in life, right? Like easily, you know what I mean? Like
you've been weight training more often too?
A little bit.
Nice.
And so it's, but that is like, you know, again, it's all a balance. And so it's like I feel comfortable, like, cause you know, I've still regularly lifted once or twice a week, you know, through all of my jiu-jitsu and stuff like that. But
never stopped.
Yeah, right. And so it's like, and jiu-jitsu keeps me strong, but yeah, it's like those weights. And I think a big part of that is I've done a number of those, like quite a bit past, like I've benched quite a bit more than 300. So like the idea of 300 pounds in my hands, like doesn't scare me on a bench press. And I think like mentally that's a huge part of it.
For sure.
And like, so none of those scare me, but oh doggy, a sub 7 minute mile. That's a there ain't a lot of people that are running sub 7 minute miles.
It's interesting. Do you feel like you've gotten to the point where you've understood why other people enjoy running now?
Yeah. Oh, very much. I love running.
The way you talk about it, for sure.
I love it. I'm having a blast.
Dude, I feel like I could get into it for, I know at least one aspect. It's really funny too, because like I am definitely like very like my build and like just how I'm like as a person, I'm definitely very prone to be better at endurance sports.
Sure.
Like growing up, I was always the one that was better when we were running like longer distances or even just running the mile. Like I was like typically like top 1 or 2 like people in whatever class it was. But never, I didn't. I say all this, and I don't think I could run 10 miles. Like, it's actually, I know I can't run 10 miles right now. But yeah, I'm very prone to be better at those, but I just never enjoyed it enough that I ended up in high school enjoying lifting a lot more and working on my physique. But it's not something I don't put on muscle nearly as easy as so many other people. Like there's people that are gain strength so much easier than I do, people that gain size so much easier than I do, but like it's just a thing I enjoy. So
yeah, no, I totally get it. And I think for me this is kind of like one of those, it's kind of a cheesy way to put it, but it like makes sense. But it's like I like the idea of like starting over as a white belt in something. Like we use that a lot in like jiu-jitsu of like just starting over at something that I'm not good at, and like training my way into being good at it and like seeing if I like it or not.
Dude, when you start something new, you typically see improvements a lot faster than when if you've been doing something for a long time. It's harder to take something you've been doing for 5 years and get incremental. You have to do so much to get incrementally better. When you're starting brand new, you can just change a couple of things, and all of a sudden you're twice as good.
Right. Well, it was like, and I came into this with like the blessing of 4+ years of jiu-jitsu training where my fitness is like, you know, my target heart rate typically for my run is like between like 145 and 155. It's like pretty normal for me. And I will do 4 or 5 times a week, I will do an hour and a half of jiu-jitsu where I average a heart rate of 155. So like I'm very comfortable at a 155 heart rate. Kind of thing, like a 145, like a 150, we'll say. Like I'm very comfortable. I know what that feels like, which is good. So I have a lot of training in that. That was actually one of my biggest problems I had first getting into running was that, like the way I've explained it is my fitness was above my feet. And dude, I have a lot working against me when it comes to running in general, especially in my feet, is that first and foremost, I'm large. I have a pretty good like stride cadence where I don't actually spend very much time on the ground. Like I spend a good amount of time with like both feet off of the ground, which is good. That's kind of like what you want. But I am 255 pounds. So I'm a large boy, right?
A lot of weight being put on those tootsies.
On these tootsies, I'll tell you what. I am, I've got some pretty strong legs still, especially like my tib anteriors, like my outside, like perineal muscles and stuff are strong.
Front calves?
Me old front calves. I also have, and I didn't even really know this, I guess, or paid any attention to any of this until I started getting into running. I have hilariously high arches, like ridiculously high arches, like as high as they can, like
produce a soul.
No, yeah. Sacrifice a soul. As high as they can like measure it. I know. But like it's as high as I can measure it. So what's happening, and you can like the bottom of my foot if you were ever to look at it. If you subscribe. But the bottom of my feet are kind of funny when you look at them, because you know when you have like the color change from like where you're almost like calloused from your feet like walking, and then it gets into like where your arches and it kind of like a paler color because it doesn't have the same like callousing.
Yeah.
I have legitimately on the lateral, like outside of my feet, I have less than a half an inch of like calloused color. Like it is literally like a half an inch that is calloused. And so my arch is the vast majority of my midfoot.
Yeesh.
And so
wide arch, if you will.
Yeah, I got them wide, tall arches.
Yeah.
So I was having problems with my like peroneal tendon, which is where it like it's like part of it like wraps around the outside of your ankle, so your lateral side, it wraps around the backside of your ankle and then connects to the fifth metatarsal, which is like your pinky toe bone, right? And so but like further up your foot. So that contact point was just taking a beating because one, it's not used to it. Two, my like where I was running, like where my feet were running, they were, you know, a week in. My fitness though was like, I can go way further than this. You know what I mean? Like my feet can handle a mile. My heart and lungs can handle 4.
Feet weren't keeping up.
Yeah. My fitness was above my feet. Right. And so I had to like do different. I went through.
When you first said my fitness is above my feet, I'm like, yeah, upper body strength.
Yeah. That checks out. Yeah, no, I get it. That's hilarious. But no, like my fitness level was higher, like above what my feet could handle. But it's dude, I've gone through. I'm on a pair that I like. I'm finally on a pair that I like, but like 3 different pairs of running shoes. Like you don't want to like go to inserts because like there's this, you've got like pronating and like supinating, like there's just all these different things. Really funny side note because it's stupid, but I know you'll think it's funny. So like supinating is like this way, like turning it outward. And so my doctor buddy was like, yeah, he's like you get a bowl of soup. And then he's like, that's how I always remembered it, was like getting a bowl of soup. And then I said, so pronating, pouring out a bowl of soup. And he's like, yeah, you could say that, I guess. And I was like, that was world-class humor. You got supinating, you get a bowl of soup, you pronate, you pour it out. See, you get it.
That's how I'm going to remember it now.
Honestly, it's like, okay, am I getting the soup or am I pouring it out? But that was like a whole thing where I originally thought I supinated because like the wear and tear on my shoes and like all there's like ways you could tell like how do your feet, like your shoes wear and all this kind of stuff. Well, I always looked at my shoes and like my issues and I'm like, this is a classic supination, right? And come to find out, it's not. That's just the only distribution of pressure.
Just the way your feet are built.
Right. It's on that outside. Like
Jeez.
It just doesn't even matter. So what's funny is I actually pronate a little bit, but I ended up getting some insoles that are like very non-intrusive arch-wise, but they are just literally there only in my running shoes to distribute the pressure across my foot more evenly. And that has made a massive, plus like tapering my running in, you know, like not going for, but dude, I was like, I could barely walk a couple of times after like running, and like I ran 10 miles yesterday and my feet don't hurt at all.
Dude, I know even running just a couple of miles can like incapacitate you sometimes.
Dude,
man.
It can be brutal if you don't have
it correctly. Yeah.
Yeah. And so shout out to like Red Coyote and OK Runner here in Oklahoma City, they are both awesome places to go because they help you out a ton, give really good advice. Like Red Coyote will for free like check your gait, which is like your pronation and supination kind of thing. They'll make solid recommendations. They troubleshot a couple things with me. I've been in there a number of times, and super cool businesses, both of them. I really, really have enjoyed going in there and talking to them.
Yeah.
And they've helped a lot. And so, yeah, super cool place. If you're wanting to get into running, it's like definitely something to like spend the time. At least you don't necessarily have to spend the money, but like spend the time to at least like find out what you're doing, because it can make a massive difference. And I had a lot working against me, like my weight, my strength, and my like arches were like a lot of things where it's just like this specific part, it's kind of like if I like, this doesn't hurt.
Mm-hmm.
If I do this for the next 2 hours, it might.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't, like, it's just that much. Like, even though the pressure is not overly crazy or whatever, but that like repetitive force on there over and over and over and over and over again is eventually going to make that a sore spot.
I feel like good form, like with like squatting, is like changing up, tweaking your form and working on that for, even just a few weeks can drastically change the amount of strength, the muscles that you're using, and the amount of weight that you can put up.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. And so, yeah, man, it's been a really interesting journey for something that I have not been doing for very long. But
dude, yeah. I think the two things that would get me into it, I think I'm becoming more aware, and I think people in general are becoming more aware of both things, actually. One being kind of the joy of like just pushing yourself and finding your limits.
Yep.
Even in stuff that's like you don't even necessarily like enjoy specifically. It's just like even if I didn't enjoy running, like I enjoy like thinking about like, man, I wonder how much like I could run.
Yeah.
And I would probably go out.
I've gotten a lot of people really interested in running from just like talking about
naturally.
it. Yeah.
But it's like
make it a whole community. Big boy running party.
BPP.
Woo.
But yeah, I feel like there's like things that I do like that I know like I don't even necessarily like enjoy doing like the actual act, but it's like I get to the end of it and I'm like, fuck, if I would have done this a little bit differently, I think I could have done better.
Yeah.
And it makes me want to do it again.
Yeah. No, I totally
even though I didn't enjoy it. Like I'm not, not that I do or don't enjoy running, but I think the
challenging yourself is just as fun as anything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Number two, I think people have started to realize doing something like pushing yourself, like and making yourself uncomfortable and doing things that are difficult makes other things in life very
manageable,
yeah. Much easier.
Oh yeah.
I think I watched somebody else make a video on this easier of like if you intentionally put yourself into something that is stressful and sometimes not fun.
Yeah.
It puts you in control of stressful situations. So when stress comes your way, you're a lot more comfortable to handle it, that you don't do things to just simply avoid it. You do things to actually get through it.
Yeah, no, it's 100% why I believe that like jujitsu practitioners, jujitsu players are the happiest people I've ever come across. Because it's like when on a daily basis, I have like this morning, I had somebody trying to choke me unconscious, another person trying to spiral fracture my leg, another person trying to break my arm, all while wrestling and fighting back and doing all these things. When something stressful is, I'm like, what?
Yeah.
I am used to, like, this morning, there's a dude I train with who's about my weight, probably like 250, 260. And like literally his chest was smothering my face. And I was under him laughing at him. Because I'm like, you ain't gonna get me like that. You know what I mean? And so it's like, I'm like, I literally sit there and I'm like, how much can I breathe? Like anything under 30% is not good. This feels about 35. I think I'll be okay. You know what I mean? I'm like, I can breathe 35% and this just hurts, but it's not going to break anything. I can sit in that for 5 straight minutes.
But if you hadn't done that before, you would get to like 90% and start to like your instincts kick in and you start to panic.
1000%. My first day of jiu-jitsu, somebody was on top of me and I was like,
But no, I think that's why I like training with like Will, and I like to train together. I don't get to train with him as much anymore But he really likes to train till failure, and I really like training that way as well, and like kind of pushing my limits and finding ways to like get a little bit more out of it, like throwing in like drop sets and all that kinds of stuff. But yeah, that's been a big motivation for me in the gym recently, which my workouts are definitely a lot more traditional, like more bodybuilding style, but it's like I get a little bit more excited to go into the gym and like, all right, like let's see, like I feel like I can push myself even a little bit further. Like I had a really solid workout last week, but I think I can push myself even just a little bit further. And I get excited about that, and then it makes everything else in life just a little less stressful.
Oh yeah. Well, it's really interesting, especially kind of getting back to the running topic a little bit, is like the hardest part is because I'm the exact same way, right? Like I am very much like James has been the one who's been like helping me because James is a freak when it comes to running. But it's like
he's a smart guy. I didn't know he knew so much about running though.
James runs like a 15-minute 3 mile.
Jeez. Holy cow.
Yeah, dude.
I did not know that.
Yeah, James is a monster.
Yeah,
when it comes to running.
I heard you talking to him. I think I walked into the store when you were talking to him on the phone one time about your pouring out your soup.
Yeah, dude, he's a monster when it comes to running. And what's nice is because he's not a small guy. He's 211 pounds, and so it's like talking to him about it. It's great because it's like he also has like, and I've been talking to like that's right, like Adam Roscoe's running. He just started. I just gave him my old heart rate monitor today, so he's part of the BPP. And so so it's like it's cool being able to pass that stuff along. But anyway,
for sure.
He like the hardest thing for me is, sorry, this is the point that I was trying to make, was the hardest thing is having the desire to push yourself, but like staying disciplined in like the avenue that you are training in, which is a really interesting thing for running, of like, I want to push myself and like, I can't. I just have to stay within my parameters.
Oh, within your zone.
Yeah. And that is the one of the biggest like mind fucks of it is like literally so much, like 80% of it's like the 80-20 split is like the golden ratio that they say, but it's like 80-20 split of like 80% in zone 2 cardio.
Ready for me to wrap this whole conversation in together? I feel like this is bringing in that meditation.
Yeah, wrap it up now.
If you want to see something gay, rewind that really quick. Watch the video.
Whoa.
But I feel like if you're trying to stay within a certain zone, focusing on your breath naturally puts you into a meditation. Ooh. Get you thinking while you're running.
Oh my God.
Brought literally everything. It's like we planned this entire conversation.
Dude, we do. You guys can't see the whiteboard. But dude, that is, I'm with you, because like my biggest struggle that I had was lying to James on how much I was actually doing, right? He'd be like, do this. And I'd be like, okay. And then it got to a point where my feet were like messing up so bad where he was like, hey, run a mile. And like just run a mile. And again, we're thinking back to what I originally said, the first mile's the worst mile, right? So it's like the thing is I understand why he did it, and he's correct. But it's like like that is the equivalent of asking me to go to the gym and doing like one set of bench press and then leaving. Like, oh, I don't want to do that at all. And at that point, I'd already ran a 4 mile. And I'm like, you're asking me to run one? And like my feet couldn't handle it. And my setup was wrong.
Yeah.
And he was right. Like I needed to taper it in more. And I'd be like, and you know what I do? I would be like, okay, well, if I'm really busy that day, instead of running 1 mile twice, can I run 2 miles? And he's like, no, unless you absolutely have to. And
good for you, JP.
And I'd be like, oh my God, I absolutely have to today. And then really I had ran 3 miles and then my foot was fucked up again. And like, I just like, I'm an idiot. So it's like another perfect example where it was like, I was supposed to run 1 mile and I ran 3. My foot got messed up. And I'm like, woo. And then I was like, okay,
lesson learned.
I'm going to be good. I'm only going to run 3 miles, but I'm going to do it, you know, like, or I ran 4 miles and my foot was messed up. I was like, I'm only going to run 3. There, I'm being a good boy. And then Vincent, this is the day Vincent and I were talking about the 3, 4, 5, 6, 10. And I was like, I was running 3 miles. Again, James had given me 1.5 miles twice in a day, was running 3 miles, right? And I'm like, all right, whatever. And like, I was literally texting Vincent and being like, don't tell James this. But Vincent had just sent me his 1 mile time because him and I were talking about it. I'm like, what can you run 1 mile? And he sent me like a 6:44 mile after
Vincent. I feel like
after squatting. Oh yeah, and I'm like, dude, screw you. He's also 230 pounds right now.
Jeez,
Vinny Boy's part of the BPP. And
I'm excited to see him.
Yeah, I'm so excited to see him. But I'm running 3 miles, and I run my first 2 miles at my heart rate, all the stuff I'm supposed to do. And then I'm like, third mile. Kind of got a straight shot straight home. It's about 1 mile. What if I fucking sprinted it? I wonder what my 1 mile time is. And I sprinted my beholies off. I don't know what a beholy is, but I don't know if that's my butthole or my balls, but it's a little bit of both. I lost them both that day. In the war. Yeah. But I literally, my last mile, I sprinted. I finished a 7:48 mile for my 3rd mile, which felt pretty good about, especially at 2:55. It's pretty good. Yeah. And guess what? Hurt for like a week.
Your tootsies.
My tootsies. My foot was fucked. And so luckily we've like obviously gotten to a point where I'm like quite a bit better with that and things are going good. But I finally got my setup down. But it was yeah. But that's so hard. It's so hard to do. Yeah. Of like, I know I can do more than this. I can handle more than this, but there's an aspect that just can't. Yeah. And that is driving me nuts. Yeah. Like if there was any part of time that I wanted to give up on doing it, it was that, because I'm just like, this is so frustrating. Am I ever going to get past this where I can just actually do like, it's like having a wrist injury and like having to bench 135 when you know you can do 315.
Dude, I'm kind of going through a similar thing right now with pressing, like leg pressing movements in the gym, whether it's squatting or using some sort of machine. But I've had a couple of people give me some different cues on like glute activation as well as I did a leg workout with Marcus and some of the other guys at Trinity recently, and he was giving me a lot of cues in my upper body, which was really interesting, which I know like plays a big role, but like he was like almost focused like none on lower body and like all on upper body in my squats. And I think that's probably because I've put a lot of effort into focusing on my, like cues in my lower body, that it was like I was doing okay down there, but like up top. And he was talking about like how it starts all up top and everything. Yeah. But kinetic how
chains and this sort.
Yeah. And dude, the funny enough, because we ended up doing, I mean, I'm squatting with Marcus, Josh Hewitt, and Journey Reigns. And for those that don't know,
none of those guys are strong. So I was squatting with the Hulk, Captain America, and Thor.
And we kept doing warm-up weight, and like my working weight came and went.
Yeah. Right.
And they got to like we'll stay here today instead of going up kind of deal. And I'm like, fuck this, dude. But luckily we were doing Smith machine squats, so it was a little bit more controlled. But I was working with Marcus on a lot of like where my hand position was in the bar, where my shoulder position was in the bar, scapulas, neck, all that kinds of stuff. And dude, like my leg, like don't get me wrong, my legs were sore after that workout, but dude, my upper body was like wrecked. Like my shoulders were like wrecked for like several days after that, because it was just trying to like focus and like contract like as I'm doing that movement so much and just in a position that I was just not used to. That I've started to implement that into more of my own
next level of strength.
Yeah. I've started implementing that into my own workouts, but I'm having to like scale back the weight from what I usually do to be able to focus on those things, because I'm trying to do, if I try and do the same weight that I usually do, my instincts kick in, that muscle memory kicks in, and I go to the form that I was using before. But if I'm scaling back, which is just not a fun thing to do.
No,
man.
it's not. Well, and it's like one of those things where you go through the same thing like weightlifting as you do, like you do with running, in that is like lifting heavier than your form can handle. It's the same kind of thing. It was like I was, not that my form was necessarily bad, but it was like my feet just couldn't handle it. But it's like I can make this weight move, so that counts for something. And if I'm doing less than that, it just irks you. It just like, it really does get you.
Yeah.
And it's like coming to terms with that, of like spending the time that I have to spend at a certain thing, really does kind of like get you to the point you want to be
where
at.
you can run that 10 miles and do okay. Where prior, if you weren't focusing on in working with your feet like you were, you might not be able to. It'd be hard. You'd struggle to get to that point. So that's what I'm going through right now, is scaling back. And I need to give credit to Hayden Young as well. He kind of worked with me, and he came over. I was working out late one night and I was doing hack squats, and he's like, "What's up, buddy?" And I was like, "Hey man," I'm like, "Dude, I actually like would appreciate a spot if you're open. Like, I'm just doing hack squats, but it'd be nice to have someone help." And he's like, "I was looking for a reason to quit my workout."
Yeah, that's funny.
I think he was like just putting off cardio or something. But like, dude, he ended up going through I had like over half of my workout left, and he just hung out with me for the second half of my workout.
That's all. I love Hayden.
He's
another cool guy.
I love him. Yeah, he's a really cool guy.
Yeah, it's like super interesting because James, if you're listening, I'm sorry that I ran 10 miles yesterday. But it is like I'm still in that, like I think I'm in that, like I don't know. There are certain things I think that happen the same way with like lifting that happen with running, in the sense of like there are certain markers that I want to accomplish. And then after that, I'm like, okay, cool. Now I can kind of go back to doing what I'm supposed to do. Mm-hmm. And like, to me, I think running 10 miles is like benching 315 for the first time. Mm. It's like, okay, now I'm cool to like, I don't know, like
I'm satisfied for
it'll be a while before I run 10 miles again.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Like I've got a 5K I'm running Saturday. So like, again, I just ran a 15K. So it's like a 5K is like whatever again, where it's like, again, it's kind of part of that. Like I'm trying to like 3 miles is not a big deal now that I've ran 10.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's like a mental aspect that's important to me.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, it's fine. But that's kind of the thing where it's like, I think now that I've done a 10 mile, I know that 10 miles is about my limit. I could not run a half marathon right now. Like everybody's like, you should do the half. And I'm like, no. Like, you don't understand. Like, I was scratching and clawing to finish 10.
Yeah.
And like to add 3 more miles on top of that, like, ain't no way, dog.
Yeah.
So it's I know that I can't do that right now. And that's fine. Like, that's a goal for me to do and focus on. Like, I don't even plan on trying to run a half until like probably like next year.
Yeah.
But it's like, now it's like, okay, like I've ran 10 miles. That has been accomplished in my head. And that is part of like my bucket list goals, like with running, that I have completed in a month and a half since I started running. But it is also like having now the like perspective of like, okay, now I can kind of like, I think, do what James wants me to do.
I feel, but you're satisfied in that, and then I feel like it makes it. Then so you now got in your head the next time, like now, next time I run, I want to do a half marathon kind of deal, and then it's like, then it's easier to focus on, okay, what's the small things,
right?
That like, now that I'm satisfied for a little,
yeah,
what are the small
that
things?
itch. I'm ready to do like my training now,
right? One story to maybe potentially prove my point a little bit earlier about how I am a person that is prone to be better at endurance sports much more than strength sports. I ran a 5K one time. This was in college. It was the 5K that Teak put on for Colin, the memorial 5K that was put on, and I signed up to be a volunteer at that. because it was, I think it was a requirement. Like you either had to run or be a volunteer. I was like, I'll sign up, be a volunteer. I don't do a lot of running. Was doing a lot of lifting in college, but this was, I think, on a Saturday morning. So naturally drink a lot the night before. Show up to this 5K. It's like, I think like 8 a.m. or something like that, like super early. I haven't eaten.
Isn't that funny to think about 8 a.m. being super early?
Yeah.
That's not super early to me anymore. That's just funny. Sorry, keep going.
Especially if you're out really late and drinking a lot.
Yeah, I don't do that. I was in bed by 9:30 last night. This is my out late drinking a lot.
Yeah, one glass.
Yeah.
Half a cigar.
Yeah, and a 0 caffeine Coke Zero.
But we show up, haven't had anything to drink, haven't eaten anything yet, like pretty hungover. I think that's what gets me on hangovers is like if I am required to wake up early, at least when I was in college. Now, if I drink any, I'm like hungover the half the next day.
Yeah, right.
But the waking up early aspect, like really emphasized on my hangover.
Yeah.
And so I show up in like slides and like shorts and whatnot. And I think there was someone in our fraternity that was like, not enough people signed up to run. Like if we need, like, we're taking, we took, 10 people that signed up to volunteer and you guys got to run. And I'm like, this could have been covered before. Like I could have been warned about this because I was one of the people that got pushed over to run.
Yeah.
So I had to run back to the fraternity house, grab tennis shoes, put those on, and run a 5K hungover with nothing on my stomach. And I'm also not prone to throwing up in workouts or endurance. That is probably the closest or the second closest I've ever gotten to throwing up. But I can't remember my time exactly, but I'm pretty sure I got top 10 in that 5K, and I think my time was like a little over 24 minutes.
Yeah, that's great.
And so it made me kind of curious what I could do if I wasn't feeling like the beach.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But that was
10 years ago.
Yeah, that was also 10 years. That was also 10 years ago. I remember complaining, like I had put on some weight recently, like good, like weight that I wanted to put on, but I was like about 190 pounds, which was like 10, 15 pounds over what I usually ran. And I was like, fuck this extra 10 pounds.
Yeah, right. No, for real.
That was miserable.
You should run a 5K. Do it again. Run a 5K with me.
I don't know if you're gonna convince me.
Yeah, I'm not gonna run that 5K in 24 minutes. Ain't no way,
dude. I don't think I don't think I could do that if I was like properly hydrated and fueled. I don't know if I could do that today.
Yeah. Like anything, like if I sub 30 this 5K, I'll be stoked. Like I will be a happy boy if I sub 30 and I might like 26 it and be like, oh wow, I did way better than I expected. Yeah. But I have no expectations. Yeah. It is literally like I literally signed up because I liked the t-shirt. It's downtown and you get a medal, a t-shirt. It was like $30 to sign up. And I was like, I was already gonna run 3 miles that day. So like whatever. Yeah. Might as well do it with other people. I
feel like it's motivating doing it with other people. I think that was one thing that pushed me is there's some guy like I didn't know that was like we were back and forth like most of the run.
Yeah.
I did walk a little bit of it. I'm sure at least a little bit. But
a lot of people do.
But there was one guy that we were kind of back and forth and I was like, who is this fucking guy? Yeah. And and it was like really close at the end. So I like definitely like push myself a lot right
yeah well that's like gonna be I think that's the biggest thing in what I'm kind of interested. That is my difficult run for the week. That's my like tough run where like I'm less worried about I'm not gonna be worried about my heart rate so much that day. That is going to be just like a like get my heart rate up, let's go kind of thing, and that'll be better because it will be like there will be other people that I can pace with and like people that like I will run faster than I ever run right now. Sure. So that'll be different.
Something motivating. I think I was talking about that with on last episode with Jordan and like doing that group class at True Grit. It's like there's something motivated about watching somebody else like start to kind of like pass you or you're getting close to passing somebody else. Like just
like that'll be like I think that's like the most exciting part about it is it's like I can go a whole lot longer with somebody else next to me. You know what I mean? Or like beating somebody. You know, I don't know, like those kind of things.
It's all in your head.
Yeah, right. And those kind of things help.
Yeah.
Know? All right, homeboy. We've done an hour and 40 minutes.
Dude, that's pretty close. I thought we were going to be like an hour in and be like both pretty cooked.
Yeah, we get talking and it's like...
It was fun, man. This was a fun episode, man.
This was a fun episode.
Yeah.
Episode 40. Kevin's got the runs. That's what we'll call it. All right, thanks, guys.
Thanks for watching.
Bye-bye.